So good evening once again, Midland. Thank you to the audience for being here, especially those who survived the first session and have agreed today for the second session to hear from the mayors and the deputy mayor candidates in this election 218. And first off, let's join my hand in applause for those who weren't here on the first section. My name is Roy Ellis, and it's my pleasure to review with you the second part of tonight's agenda. For those who weren't in attendance earlier tonight, I think it's fair to say that maybe 250 guests were treated to a very uplifting evening, hearing from 14 passionate candidates about their ideas and their dreams for Midland. I stated earlier, we're fortunate here in Midland to have 27 candidates step up this year in the hopes to serve you in 218. It's worthy to note that all 5 candidates running for mayor and deputy mayor stand in front of you this evening. So again, thank you. We truly appreciate all candidates for attending and for making this evening a priority in your busy calendars. These innovative community engagement sessions, like tonight's meet and greets and meet the candidates, are designed to connect the voter to the candidate, allowing for additional insights into the individual and into their vision, so that we get it right for Midland, first and foremost. We believe these interventions add significant value, knowing we have 5 candidates for mayor and deputy mayor, for which we're asked to pick but 2. So it's important to note we've asked all candidates to keep their remarks on topic and be respectful. We'd appreciate everyone in the audience to provide the same courtesy. Thank you in advance. So the format, candidates will be asked to provide opening remarks limited to 3 minutes each, focused on what they believe matters most to the people of Midland. Following the 3-minute opening remarks, each candidate will have the opportunity to respond to questions, which many of you took the time to send to us in advance, and thank you to those of you who mailed in questions to talk to us prior to this week. The Q&A process will differ, though, from earlier this evening, in that some questions will be directed to all 5 candidates, while others may be directed specifically to the candidates running for the 2 unique positions of mayor and deputy mayor. Finally, several new questions will be posed in recognition of the fact that both elected positions play a leadership role on county council. So the first question of the evening will be directed to the candidates for mayor, seated as you can see in alphabetical order, beginning with Jack Cotton, Bob Jeffrey, and Stuart Stratham. We'll then direct the second question to both candidates running for deputy mayor, beginning with Ruth Hackney on my left, followed by Mike Ross to her left. And the third question will be directed to all 5 candidates for a response. This sequence will repeat itself as long as time permits, unless we run out of questions. We believe this approach will help foster healthy discussion among the candidates on those key issues and opportunities which, when acted upon, will define Midland for decades to come. Candidates, please keep your answers to 1 minute or less. And you've seen that little funny timer thing I learned how to do, sort of, earlier tonight. You'll hear a little buzzer about 15 seconds prior to your opening remarks, closing remarks, and on the Q&A as well. So try and lead, if you can, with your telegram, your elevator speech, your high headlines, and you'll find it'll be more impactful for our audience, and you won't get cut off. During this time, the candidates are encouraged, in the closing remarks, which is also 3 minutes, you're encouraged to comment on any question that wasn't posed to you directly. Because as I said, some mayors will get 1 question, some deputy mayors might get another, and you might get all 5 getting questions. So if you have passion, or you don't agree, you have a different viewpoint in the closing remarks, feel free just to go off script, throw your script away, and just comment about what happened, what you heard this evening. It's your night. With respect to the closing remarks then, you'll have the 3 minutes, and the idea is to summarize your key thoughts and win the hearts and minds of the folks here in this room. To keep the evening both fair and efficient, as I mentioned, the bell will sound at 15 seconds. And again, please give us your final thought. Closing remarks will conclude at around 9:30. I think some of you know I'm a bit of a schedule freak, and if we say 8 to 9:30, I'd like it to be 8 to 9:30 because your time is valuable. Please stick around from 9:30 to 10, hoping all candidates and some of our Ward 1, 2, 3 candidates are still here. I can see in the audience. And if you've got some burning questions, feel free to ask them at that moment. And we get kicked out of here basically at 10 o'clock. So thank you again for attending this evening. And without further ado, let's get started. So, Mayor candidate and sitting councillor, Mr. Jack Conlon, please begin with your 3-minute opening statement.
Great to be a giant. Mr. Moderator, fellow candidates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jack Conlon, and I'm running to be your next mayor. Everyone here tonight wants to do what's best for Midland. The only difference is how we get there. As your head of council, I would lead with honesty, integrity, transparency, and service excellence. These are qualities we'd like council as a whole and our staff and corporation to be known for. Together with your involvement, we can move Midland forward. The best part about an election is meeting new people and listening to what's important to you. When I meet you at the door, you express your concerns with communications, economic development, and the environment. It has been an honor to serve for the past 4 years, and something I've learned is that we sometimes don't listen or communicate well. My strength and my pledge to you is that I will listen thoughtfully and share information openly. I'll make sure that we don't leave anyone behind, and the new newsletter we are proposing will be available both online and as hard copies at strategic locations throughout our community. Our new procedural bylaw and communication strategy will need to be monitored to ensure its effectiveness and that we are providing efficient service excellence. We will gain your trust and confidence through open dialogue and transparent two-way communications. At the Ministry of Aboriginal Affairs, my role is to introduce policies and procedures to streamline communications between government and First Nations. In addition, as the head of council, I will carefully scrutinize reasons for meeting behind closed doors. With respect to the economic development, Midland needs to keep working to improve and grow our tourism industry and build capacity to attract new industry while supporting our existing businesses and manufacturers. I will continue to support Economic Development Corporation of North Simcoe to further enhance our local economy. I recently chaired the selection committee for the board of the new Midland Bay Landing Corporation, who will restart the Midland Bay Landing development. Council and this corporation's board will need to work together to ensure the waterfront is accessible for all to enjoy. Midland Bay Landing must be designed to make a lasting impression that will draw more people and business to benefit our town. Thank you.
I don't know how many hearts and minds are going to win over tonight. As I look around the room, I know there's a few maybe, but let's wing it. I'm Bob Jeffrey, and I want to be your next mayor. Why? Well, believe it or not, I do listen, and I do talk. I don't put my tongue in my pocket, and that gets me in trouble with a lot of people, because sometimes I say things to them that they don't want to hear. Unfortunately for them, it's usually the truth. But I've been around the block a few times. I've gone through now, I guess this is my 12th election. I've lost 2 hopefully I won't lose this one. And with your help, I'll get there. But you're probably saying, okay, what are you all about? Well, I'm all about making sure that our town, your town, my town, is our town. That we're here to make sure that everything that we own, we look after. Not to give it to somebody, as has happened in the past, who thinks they're gonna do something with it and then slowly disappear. It's our town. We have people right here, and there's people in this room who can do what some people think you can't. For 31 years, I've watched people in this town come and go. But a lot of them, who are still here now, know what we need to do. And what we need to do is get off our butts and look after our town. We have some great pieces of property, and one of them is the one that took us 35, 40 years to buy. That was Indusman. What are we gonna do with it? I don't know. It's up to you guys. You got the people that are gonna tell us. Somehow, some way, the new council is gonna make sure that you guys are all engaged and you're gonna tell us exactly what you want. It's okay for us to come up with ideas, but if you guys aren't there with us, it's all for now. So, I decided tonight that I'm not gonna read my stock stuff that you're gonna get at the door or the stuff that was on Rogers. I'm just gonna tell you from here who I am and where I'm going. I think in all fairness, we need to basically just hunker down, be a council that works together, which always did, really. The last council I was on, sure, it was 5-4, but it wasn't for lack of trying. There wasn't one person on that council that didn't like Midland or didn't like the people. We just had different views, and thank God for that, because that's what you call democracy. And there's 15 seconds. So if we count slowly, we'll make it last longer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. And current councilors who is drafted. And you gotta love technology, eh?
Hello, everyone. I'm very pleased to see you all here tonight and to have the opportunity to tell you why I want to be the next mayor of Midland. A little background, I'm a 5th generation Midlander. I grew up here, went away to university, became a biologist, and spent my whole career, both in the field and business, working with wildlife. I founded the company Low Tech Wireless, which became a global leader in wildlife tracking technology. I retired, returned to my hometown, and became active in local politics. I was elected as councilor in 2014, and I am proud of what we accomplished in moving Midland forward to become the prosperous community I remember when I was growing up. Since the campaign started, I've been all over town, knocking on doors, and this is what I've heard. Residents want to see strong leadership from council. You want Town Hall to listen to complaints and respond quickly. You want council to manage the big dig so that inconvenience is minimized, the downtown gets a much needed facelift, and we stop sewage runoff into the bay. You want the town to provide more affordable housing for people of all ages. You want council to ensure the development of Middle Bay land gets off the ground and soon. And you want to be sure, guaranteed public access to the waterfront. You want to save community, downtown, on our roads, and throughout the town. I know this town well. I have the experience and commitment to address these and other problems we face in making Midland a prosperous and livable community. Here's some of the specifics I will do over the next 4 years as mayor. I'll create the Downtown Development Committee to involve businesses, other stakeholders, and interested citizens in planning for the King Street Big Dig. We'll look at revitalizing the laneways and the back entrances of downtown shops to ensure access. I'll work with staff to develop a citizen complaint management tracking system that will guarantee levels of service. For example, 1 business day response time, prioritization of work, online tracking, and reporting to completion. I will insist that we streamline the telephone system and set up one-stop counter service so that residents can immediately reach a live body to serve them. Of part of that system too. I'll establish a mayor's task force on affordable housing to find ways to release land, get grants from senior levels of government, and find partners to build hundreds of affordable housing units over the next 4 years. I'll work with law enforcement, social and health services, and shelter providers to ensure safety throughout the community. My full platform is laid out in my brochure. I also encourage you to go to my website, stuartstrathern.ca. There you can read more about my plan to provide strong leadership for a strong Midland. Thank you.
Thank you, and candidate for Deputy Mayor, Ruth Hackney.
Thank you, Roy. Good evening. My family and I have had the privilege of calling Midland home for over 40 years. I'm seeking the position to represent you as your deputy mayor. We need representation on our council and people who are committed to our community and dedicated to progress. We all look for our council representatives to do what's best for our community, whether it be affordable housing, fair taxation, cutting the red tape at town hall, a council that is open and transparent. Reduce costs, address heavy waste and leaf pickup, that's still an issue that people are still concerned about. Economic growth, and clean environment. All of these issues are real and affect all of us. However, in order to address these, we need to develop a proactive plan and put it into action. I feel we should create and foster a climate of partnership with our neighbors. The future of local jobs is ours to create. I did not agree that the town should have sold our local hydro or disbanded our police department. Whether it was the right or wrong decision, only time will tell. That being said, these were our assets that belong to you, the residents of the town. And that decision is one that should have been done through a plebiscite. A direct vote in which the entire town has the opportunity to accept or reject the sale of these assets. By not calling for this vote, it has robbed you of your voice. Today is the day we need true leadership. A municipal government should be the most democratic, and no partisan politics should be involved. A good council will represent all of Midland, not only worry about the noisy or the well-connected few. I believe in respectful communications, open meetings, transparency, and public participation. I have 10 years municipal experience both as a councillor and deputy mayor, having served at both the local and county levels of government. I respectfully ask for your vote on October 22nd by voting me, Ruth Hackney, as your deputy mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. And current Deputy Mayor, Mike Ross. 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Roy. And first of all, I want to thank all the candidates, especially the people running. Sorry, I want to thank all the candidates and everyone that's running. It's never easy to get up here in front of a crowd, and it really is an honor to have your name put in, and I wish you all the best of luck, and thank you very much for stepping forward and representing the town. Dear friends, my name is Mike Ross, and I'm pleased to be running for re-election for the office of Deputy Mayor in the town of Midland. It truly has been one of my life pleasures to represent the people of Midland for the last 8 years on council, and I look forward to another 4 years as your Deputy Mayor. For the last 16 years, I've been employed as a sales manager for an Ontario Wine and Spirit Company. My employment takes me to several communities in central and northern Ontario. This gives me a great advantage when it comes to representing the people of Midland, by having the opportunity to network and learn from other municipal leaders. Midland is currently seeing wonderful growth in all 4 sectors of its economy: industrial, residential, commercial, and tourism, all proceeding in a positive direction. As your council representative on the Economic Development Office of North Simcoe, I could not be prouder of this success, as these 4 sectors are the driving force that will keep Midland on the map. However, there is still hard work to be done. As your Deputy Mayor, I will continue to fight for fiscal responsibility while maintaining the services Midland residents have come to enjoy. I have always been an advocate in keeping taxes in line with the rate of inflation, and my last 8 years will attest to this. I also look forward to aiding in the growth potential of the town of Midland. Midland needs to develop the Unum lands on our waterfront, but this could take several years to find the right developer. In the meantime, we need to take this land and make it available for everyone to enjoy. The people of Midland own this land, so let's use it. Another big project that must be completed in the next term of council is the reconstruction of aging infrastructure along King Street in our downtown. This construction will have its challenge, but it will be up to council to make sure we do everything in our power to make our downtown business prosper as this construction takes place. The future has never been brighter for the town of Midland, the town I love. With that said, the welfare of our residents, the prosperity of our local business is relying on the growth of our community. My main objective is to make Midland the best it can be. On October 22nd, please vote for Mike Ross, Deputy Mayor, Town of Midland. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Why do I think that the council meetings are going to be shorter in the next term? I'm sorry, guys, had to say it. I go a lot. Brevity is a good thing. All right, I'm just resetting my timer here, folks, because we're going to get into the Q&A part. And we're going to use the handheld mic. I'm going to start with our current councilor, Jack Cotton, aspiring to be mayor. And as I said in the outset, the first question will go to the three mayor candidates. The second question will go to the deputy mayor candidates. And the third question will go to all. And we're just going to keep following that sequence, okay? So there are some questions that we feel were better directed to a different position in this particular case. So the first question, Mr. Conlon, what important issues do you expect to raise at county council for the benefit of Midlanders?
Hello? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's a good question at the county council. Midland is very unique in terms of its location and how it fits in with the 16 municipalities in North Simcoe, South Simcoe. And one of the things that Midland needs to focus on is on affordable housing. We need to look at what our needs are as a community to address this issue now and into the future. We need to act as a community, to come together and have a lot of consultation to look at what our needs are to address this. And from the fact that we have assets in this town, we need to do studies for environmental consideration to look at how we're going to apply for potential funding with the county. So that's a big issue that I think that we would look at in terms of reaching out, but using our community to address those questions at county. So it's a big effort to do that by together.
Thank you, Jack. And Mr. Jeffrey, same question, please.
Well, can you hear me? Well, county's a pretty big place. There's 16 municipalities in there, and actually it used to be more. I keep hearing about affordable housing. I'm told that it's now it now includes social and subsidized. It's all one word. Yeah, that's going to be one thing I think that we have to keep on top of. I know that the past mayors actually challenged this new council to be on top of that. I would say that's one thing, but there's a host of other things that need to be brought to the table, and we can't shy away from it. Like I say, don't put your tongue in your pocket.
Thank you, Mr. Stratham. Do you need the question posed again, or are you okay?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah.
I believe that, of course, affordable housing is first and foremost. It's not something that's coming. The problem is now. I believe the county has a role to play. They already are engaged in the housing spectrum from night shelters to transitional housing, subsidized housing. I think they have a role to play here as well. I think that county needs to ensure that planning decisions remain at the local level. For example, comprehensive reviews are currently done at the local level. That impacts what happens to employment lands. Somebody wants to make a decision with respect to what they're doing with their employment lands. We can deal with it locally. The way it's set up or proposed to be set up, it would go up to county. I don't think they have the expertise nor the local knowledge to really deal with that. Also, I think inter-community transit, we've already started that with the link system. I think we need to continue to work on that with the county to make sure that we have other forms of transit for people, for example, wanting to get to hospitals, Memorial, or Royal Vic. There are ways that we can get county to participate in a broader manner with those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. The mayor candidates, we have a new question, beginning with Ruth. Well, I can figure this thing out. Here we go. Hey, Ruth. The town currently has a number of services that have been partnered with our neighbors in Kennetanguishon. Those services include building inspections, public transit, a shared fire chief, and so on. Do you see this as a trend that should continue? If so, what other services might you suggest that should be explored?
Thank you very much. Yes, I think it's wonderful that we've already started to partner with our neighbors. And I think we should look at the other neighbors, in fact, as a Tay and Tiny as well, to be able to ask them to see what we can partner with them as well. There's no point in all of us having two huge fire trucks that have to have 40-foot aerial ladders that perhaps we only need once in a blue moon that we'd be able to use. So that would be a huge savings that we already look at for now. But I think there are other things that we can partner with as well, because we do have a huge housing shortage problem that we have to deal with here, especially affordable housing. And when it comes to our seniors, I know our seniors are really suffering when it comes to that. And I'm hoping that we would be able to work towards making everything more accessible for them to be able to come back and forth between towns as they already have been doing, and we're using that through the bus services as well. There are many other issues that we need to deal with, and I think that when we look at all of our town staff, we need to see what programs we're using right now that we're duplicating, that perhaps we can work with other municipalities to see if we can't reduce them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mike Ross, please.
Thank you very much for the question. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but I was the one actually to push for council to start the sharing of the police chief, the fire chief. It came to council, we sort of hemmed and hawed, and sort of got pushed aside, and I was the one that really spearheaded to make sure that happened. I felt that was very important as a trial. It was the first step to hopefully many, and it has worked out very, very well. If you talk to both communities, they're very happy with the one chief option, and I believe in the next year or so, our deputy chief is going to be retiring, and I would like to see us only have one deputy chief also for both communities. I think there's also great opportunity. I think the next step should be the museum. We have two museums, but truthfully, it is one community, all four communities, and it would be ideal to have one museum that could represent both areas. And when someone comes to town, and especially a great tourist opportunity, that we could say, hey, listen, we have one Huronia museum. It's called the Huronia Museum. I always wonder why, but it only represents Midland. It could be a great Huronia museum, and you would come to Penetang, Midland, and it would be one museum, one board, and the opportunities of savings would be second to none. Also, I believe our library would be the next step after the museum, and
10 seconds, please, Mike.
And from there, who knows? It's wide open. Public works and other opportunities. So the more we can do with the other communities, the much better for all of us.
Thank you very much. Okay, now a question to all, and we'll begin this time with Jeffrey. Midland's own property taxes more than doubled from 2000 to 2010. Midland's current taxes are still built on that high 2010 tax base. Sorry, let me do that again with feeling. Midland's own property taxes more than doubled from 2000 to 2010. Midland's current taxes are still built on that high tax base. Should council be trying to roll back some of these increases to reduce taxes? Mr. Jeffrey, please.
No, we are where we are, and what we have to do is we have to manage everything as well as we can. There's still stuff that we have to get done. You've heard from all of the people who were running earlier that there's all kinds of things to be done. You can't do them without money, but you sure don't have to throw money away. What you have to do is take a good hard look at what you want to do, put them in priority, and work from there. To just say we're gonna cut taxes. Well, if anybody tells you around this table or anywhere else that they're gonna cut taxes and not anything else, they're lying to you. Because you can't have really, really good service if you don't have really, really good money. It's just simple, and I'm not a mathematician, I'm not an economist. But I know that if I want to paint my house this year, and I don't, it's gonna cost me more next year. So you either have to look at what you're doing and say, I'm gonna do it now, or I'm gonna wait. But no, the answer's no.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Stu Stratton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Property taxes in Midland over the last 8 years have been at or below inflation. The service delivery review showed that we have a 50% plus excess capacity within the corporation of the town of Midland. We also have the OPP savings, and the interest from MPUC will allow for us to work within the pattern we've set so far, which is taxes at inflation or below, and using these other funds to help offset some of the increases that we're going to see. I think particular emphasis needs to be looked at the opportunities that are afforded to us through the service delivery review, and that 50% increase in excess capacity will allow us to offer better services and more services within existing staffing levels. I think that's really one of the main focuses we want to look at. But no, I don't think we should be looking to reduce taxes. We're already doing well at doing it at inflation or below.
Thank you, Mr. Stratton. Ruth, same question, please.
Yes, thank you. I think it would be very irresponsible of us to roll back taxes, because somebody has to pay for it in the long run, and if you start rolling them back now, eventually you're going to have to double them all up again, and we don't want that to happen. But we do have to be responsible with the revenue that we receive with our tax funding. So as far as rolling them back, I would not be in favor of that at all.
Should we just go ahead? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize. As the diehard conservative, I'm always looking to cut taxes. Unfortunately, Midland, your taxes, when you get your bill, 80% of that tax bill is wages. And we have collective agreements with all our unions, and it's pretty much next to impossible to release or reduce that wage. They're looking for 2.5% yearly. That is negotiated. Unfortunately, I would love, once again, I look at Mr. Atwood, and I still remember the day that he called me the most conservative person on council. I'm not sure if he better have called, but I should took it at one, and I thank him for that. But I would love to see us save money, and we are. We are doing everything. Council has done a great job to do where they can. But the fact of the matter is, we need to realize that 80% of your tax base is wages. And with the collective agreements that are in place, it's almost next to impossible to reduce that. With that said, the other 20% we have to do, it's up to council to do everything they can to make sure that money is being spent responsibly.
Okay, the next question is to the mayor, candidates only. Sorry? Jack. Sorry.
I thought I had a free one here.
Confused me because I didn't have to keep.
That's zero tax, thank you. Well, that's a really good question. I'm an optimist because I believe that we need to get our house in order at the municipal office. Why I say that is basically we need a master plan to look at the future of savings. It's not to say we're going to save today. We need to look at the future. We need to put our plans together to come up with a plan to say by year 3 it's going to be decreased. we have to look at that master plan. We have to look at comparators. That's it. I mean, when we look at the rate of inflation, we have to look at other comparators for our taxes. We're a unique community. We have to find our own solution. I think from the fact that if we look at building our reserves, completing our infrastructures, these are things that are a necessity. Who's going to pay for this? We've got to pay now or pay later. I think we've got to do a good plan, and I believe in the master plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. I apologize again. The next question then is to the mayor-only candidates, and this time we'll begin with Stuart Stratton. A vibrant downtown core is seen as an essential component for a healthy urban center. Midland is the urban center for North Simcoe. Do you support the current vision and the estimated cost for revitalizing Midland's downtown core?
First of all, I think there's one way that we're looking at doing the downtown core. There's curb to curb, which would be taking up the current street, replacing the plumbing, putting down the paved asphalt. Then the second option is that you go curb to curb, so you're ripping up the street, you're replacing the plumbing, and you're redoing the whole downtown so that you have a new revitalized landscape. The third option is that you would then add in the pumping station that's over by the Legion. That adds another level of cost, each of them $7 million, about $12 million, and about $18 million. I think you need to be involved in that decision. I think you need to understand the implications of doing it. Do I support the current plans for revitalization? I absolutely do. I also support the downtown master plan, which is a 20-year view that involves not only the revitalization of the downtown, but the revitalization of the entire community within the downtown. I grew up down in the downtown. I understand that community. I believe it needs to be brought back.
Thank you, Stuart. Mr. Jack Coffin, please, same question.
Thank you. There are a lot of opportunities and challenges in downtown. I support the aspect of revitalization. And the reason I say that, we have to look at the future of what we're proposing and putting in. It's not that we're looking at infrastructure. It's not that we're looking at beautification. It's more than that. We have to look at that small town urban feeling to continue with that. We've got to increase our downtown businesses to come in, entrepreneurs, and have that attractiveness to increase tourism, economy, and that's the future. It's not what we look at how our design is, it's really being sustainable for the future. And I support what we're doing, and we got to enhance how we present this to our community, but also from the outside coming to visit. It's a great opportunity, and there are challenges that we have to go through to meet some of the risks associated with that, but we should have a good plan in place to move forward.
Thank you. You want to go ahead?
Yep.
Am I for or against I'd be a twit if I said I wasn't. Of course, we're all for it. The thing that sticks out in my brain is everybody talks about finding costs and reducing and making sure everything's, well, you know, 18 million bucks is an awful lot of money. And when this first started out, which was way back in probably 2008, it was a heck of a lot less. Yes, I'm all for revitalization. I'm all for making us look a lot better. I'm also for looking after that piece of property down at the end of the street, which we'll probably get to a little later on. The only thing I'd say is that I think we need to have another look at it to see if we can find some cost savings, to see if indeed what they're saying is what's going to be the final outcome. You got to remember that the downtown we've got to separate, but there's a heck of a lot more around town we've got to separate too. It's a lot of money.
Thank you. All the way down to Deputy Mayor Mike Ross, please. You're at bat first, Mike, and the question is, What is your vision for growth of our business community, and what will you do to attract new businesses to Midland?
Thank you very much. One of the things that I'm very proud of as a council member, and one of the things that we should be very proud of as the council sitting today, is Midland was able to implement one of the best work-at-home bylaws in the county of Simcoe, if not Ontario. And that is the key to the growth of Ontario, of this town. We see it every day. Somebody starts a little business in their basement, one person, next thing you know, they need 2, 3, next thing you know, it's growing, and they need a warehouse because they're doing so well. And this is the answer. It really is. To start these micro businesses in your home to grow. And Midland should be very proud. And when I sit at county council and I hear the other county councils members say to me, amazing what the town of Midland was able to do with that work-at-home bylaw. It is so progressive. We all allow almost everything to allow but a dog kennel. Everything else is wide open, and you know what? That's fantastic. And I think that is the answer to growth of all the community will be those micro businesses.
Thank you, Mike. Well, I agree with Mike when he says about the micro businesses. I think it's very important that we do support all of the small businesses in the town of Midland. That's what's making our community great today. In order for us to be able to look at our ways that we can have an initiative to be able to help them, we need to look at our planning process to see what that involves, and to be able to maybe cut some of the red tape at Town Hall to be able to allow people to come into our community, or the ones that are already here to have their own home businesses to carry on forward. So I think that's the beginning, just the beginning for us to start with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question then is to the mayors. Actually, sorry, the next question is to all, and we'll start with Stuart Stratton on this one. And the question would be, what would your priorities be for implementing the recommendations of the service delivery report? Mr. Stratton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the first thing is to ensure that we have the appropriate processes in place. That involves a lot of consultation with staff. I think also it's important to ensure that staff have proper job descriptions, that they have the performance reviews available to them, that they have the proper training, and that, that they have the tools that allow them to do the job properly. Town Hall is not just a building, it's a building in which people reside and work for 8 hours a day at a minimum. So if we take care of the people, get the processes right, and then start to put the systems in place per the recommendations of the service delivery review, we'll have gone a long way to making sure that the town residents get the services they deserve within a cost structure that's affordable, and that people have a wonderful place to work. That's what I think we need to do with service delivery review.
Thank you very much. As far as service delivery is concerned, I think we have to really look at our whole computer system. I think I've never found anything more confusing than to look at the town website and try and figure it out. That's one of the worst things that I've ever come across yet. But having said that, I know we were hacked, and hopefully, hopefully all of that is going to get cleared up, and we're going to have a better website to be able to do that as well. I think that the services that we need to have is, I don't know as though our support staff really understand what people are looking for when they come to Town Hall, because they will send you from one department to another department to another department. And I think education for them is the key. They need to know what we're looking for, how we're going to get it, and how to make it work for us as well. So I think that all of that is all part and parcel of looking after our own home base here.
Thank you. Great question, and service delivery is always an important aspect in any corporation. And I feel we need to take advantage of all the technology that's available. I was surprised to learn when we had one of the meetings discussing the service review that there wasn't compatible between departments. They actually, when you had to input something, you had to be inputted again because it wasn't shared properly. And that is a key to make sure that we take advantage of full technology. The time and money that we can save with regards to that alone could make Midland a much more efficient. And efficiency is really what it comes down to. The more efficient we are, the more money we save, the more productive we are. So I believe to take advantage of technology, that's the first step. There's a lot more to it. I wish I had more than 1 minute to talk about it, but it truly is a great topic, and that will take lots of time and effort. But I believe the first step to take advantage of technology, we all know, at one time, the smartphone, I was hard to believe that it's only been around for 8 years. But how do we ever get along without it? And the way technology is going so fast that we need to be leading edge and take advantage of it fully.
Thank you. Service delivery is a very important part of any organization. I was part of that when I worked in the Ministry of Aboriginal Affairs. But for the town of Midland, my own experience, last 4 years, I was the chair of the Human Resources Committee. And from that, I was able to work with the CAO to conduct a performance appraisal for the CAO and use it as a template, and hopefully that it will be carried on for the directors, for their performance, as well as staff. So we're unified in going in the same direction and ensuring that we have quality service. And part of that also is working with the HR director in succession planning. We've never had a succession planning at the municipal office. We need to look at the future, to look at how our staff are going to be there and provide the right work and the tools for them to do the job and have service excellence and boost the morale for our staff to work as a team.
Thank you. I'm not sure of the question anymore. I thought the question was service review rather than service delivery. Maybe they coincide together, I don't know. These guys have all read my notes, so they've already told you everything you need to know. In all fairness, no matter what service review you're going to do, everybody has to be a part of it. We can't do it in a vacuum. If there's a new council, you're going to have to get up to speed and understand what's going on. But the other half is, the staff have to be a part of it. But if there's any talk of getting out of direct service delivery, well, then I think it needs to be discussed a heck of a lot more, because you know what happens when you go to contracts. Second year later, we're in a hole and we can't dig ourselves out of it. So if we're talking about one or the other or both, then I think we need to define, are we talking delivery or are we talking review? And I think in all fairness, review takes care of everybody. We all have to be at the table. Delivery, that's another story. And that's where you start to cost money.
Thank you. That covers all 5 on that question. And now we're going to go to the mayor only. And we're going to start with Jack Cotton. And the question is, in view of the recent security breach on our town computer services, what would you do to ensure this is not possible again? Jack.
Security breach, it won't happen again. Well, hopefully there's no guarantee, because we have to fix what we have to fix now. There's probably high risk that something can happen. It's just a time element we have to work with to ensure that it won't happen again. I know that our staff through the IT is now revisiting and redoing the IT system at the municipal offices. So to guarantee that, we need the proper hardware, software to ensure that we have the protection. We're going to look at probably the insurance and look at the recommendations from the consultants from the audit to tell us that this is what you need to protect yourself. And I think that if we get the right resources, let's ensure that we get the right equipment, we keep on top of it 100%, rather than let it go away the way it has been before, so we can reach out to our consultants to work with the town to ensure the protection is there.
Well, I think I've got an easier, simpler solution. And we just talked to the people who used to run our police department. I know that there's still a few of them around. My understanding is that we have stuff on our shelf in the back room somewhere. I don't know where it is. But that equipment was the equipment that kept the police department from being hacked. So if that would have been plugged into our little cable that comes into the town office, why wouldn't it have stopped being hacked? I agree with what Jack's saying, in essence, but I think it's simpler than going out and spending a whole bunch of money. And from what I understand, we already have that technology, and we could have used it. I think people just turned their back on the fact that these guys were no longer a part of us, and they didn't want to hear from them. Simple and sweet. I would listen to them.
Thank you very much. We've been told by the experts from the insurance company that the solution that was proposed by the police department wouldn't scale appropriately. That's from the manufacturer. We have since moved back to our original position that was arrived at from county and put in appropriate firewalls. We do need to work on the backup side of things. We are moving to work with county to provide all our hosting, and we will be relying on their senior staff to provide guidance to our staff locally to ensure that our systems are up to snuff. I think it's fair to say that, as Councillor Compton has said, most places are open to hacking, either through phishing, brute force, or somebody providing a backdoor. It goes without saying that Zuckerberg's accounts at Facebook were recently hacked, Pentagon's been hacked, banks have been hacked. If they want to get into your system, they're getting in. So the best thing we can do is put the best systems in place that we possibly can, and then rely on our staff not to be phished, and watch out for inconsistencies in the way the system operates.
Thank you very much, Ruth. You don't have to take that one. I have a new question for you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, thank you.
Go back up.
So Ruth, think ahead to October 22, 2022, 4 years from now, and tell us about one accomplishment that you would be proud to have delivered for the taxpayers of Midland.
One accomplishment that I would be very proud to have would be to be able to have subsidized residence for our seniors. I think that our housing shortage is just atrocious. Our rents are way out of line, and that would be one of the, that would be my most proud moment when I could tell that everybody that we do not have a problem with people getting proper housing for a reasonable cost.
Thank you. I'd like to see by October 22nd, 2022, the safety issue in our downtown taken care of. And I believe Midland needs to think outside the box. I do not believe a security guard at the library is the answer. I believe that $100,000 could be spent much more efficiently. Maybe a social worker on site that could help with the people that are having the issue. I do not want to discriminate against them, but they do need some help, and I think that that money could be much better spent in order to help them. With that said, I'm not sure if many of you understand, but our homeless shelter, the guest house, receives guests from outside our community on a daily basis. This is due to funding, so if Collingwood has a couple of people, they ship them to Midland, and it becomes Midland's problem, and we have to take care of it. It's quite frustrating because now, nothing against the people, but that they now come to Midland and we have to take care of them. So I believe the social worker, the work with the province, and the work with the county, if we could get that downtown cleaned up, that would be a wonderful accomplishment.
Thank you very much, Mike. Ruth, this is a question to all. it's to do with Midland Bay Landing. Some see it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and others see it as a huge liability. What is your view and why?
I think it's a wonderful opportunity. I was so pleased that the council purchased that land when it came up for sale. However, in saying that, I would like to see it utilized. I think that it's a project that's going to be beneficial to the people of the town of Midland who want to use some of it as parkland, but I would also like to see us have it developed as well. We need to bring some tax revenue in from that property, and I don't think that we should be in the real estate business when it comes to that. I think we should have it out there so that someone comes along, we get a good developer, he develops it, and he pays us taxes, so we make some money off of that property. But I think in the short term, we need to develop it so that it's a beautiful piece of property that the people of the town of Midland can use and enjoy, but don't lose sight of the fact that we have to get it developed as well.
Thank you. Midland Bay Landing. I'm not sure how many are aware, but I was the one councillor to vote against it. And the reason I did that, and I strongly believe today as I did back then, that Midland should not be in the development business. We have bylaws already in place that when a development comes to town, part of that community, I believe it's, I apologize, I don't want to quote percentages, but a percentage of all development must remain public space. We already have that in place. Why we would buy a piece of land and try to develop it is beyond me, and we've already seen the reasons why. It's going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're setting up now a corporation to try and find a developer. With that said, I'm a team player. The decision was made, and I promise you, I will fight and do everything I can to make sure that that is successful, because that's what council and the town of Midland chose to do. I would not dwell in the past. I am fine, and I'm going to work my hardest to make sure that it prospers and does everything we can to make sure that that land is developed and that it is the most prosperous piece of property in the town of Midland. And I hope it does happen. In the meantime, that land, it could take years and years for a developer to come along. And I think we need to take some time, some money, and make it accessible so everyone in the town of Midland can come and enjoy it. We own it, let's use it.
Thanks, Mike. All the way down to Jack, please.
Thank you. The Midland Bay Landing is a great opportunity. In tourism, from a perspective of looking at it from a global market, it can be a destination for quality experience, opportunities for the community, for economic development, creating jobs. What I feel most important, though, is that in order to move forward and to manage the Midland Bay Landing Corporation there's going to be a heavy load with the corporation board to take responsibility in terms of giving us direction to council to make the right decisions, and that's looking at environmentally, protection of the bay, looking at how we're going to utilize the land for all. And I think that's going to be the most important aspect of ensuring that our asset is maintained in a proper manner. And I think as council, we have that huge responsibility by building that partnership with the corporation and setting a plan in place to look at how to remediate the environment, the contamination, and move forward for opportunities for the future for all.
Well, Midland Bay Landing has been, well, that's the new name, but it's been around for years, and people have been saying, you gotta buy that when it comes up. So we did. If we develop that to be a destination, that'll bring people to town. It'll also put people to work. It'll also let everybody else out there know that we believe in ourselves and that we are open for business. We have a deep harbor that nobody ever talks about. We talk about land. That deep harbor is the reason we're here. A tank machine doesn't have a deep harbor. That's why nothing goes there. That's why the big boats come here, because we have a deep harbor. We have to utilize that depth of water, plus that piece of property, to become a destination. So in the back of my head, I'm thinking, who knows, maybe the mini Titanic would be a good thing to bring here. and have our museum build a nautical type museum at the bottom. Again, a destination. I don't know, because it's going to depend on 8 other people to say yes, no, and then we'll have 8 other ideas of what we can do. We also have 17,000 people who might have a pretty good idea of what to do down there. But regardless, it's ours. We have to do it. No, we're not in the development business, but we bought it. What are we going to do with it? It's up to you guys to really get on board to let us know. And yes, there's a plan for it. Is that the right plan? It was developed a few years ago. Maybe it needs to be re-looked at. And I think that's what's got to happen when we move forward with a new council. Because I honestly believe we're going to get a new council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's important for people to realize that that property darn near went to cocoa paving. Council had to reassess its original vote and come back and then unanimously purchase the land. I would say that it's a residence plan. As Councilor Cannon said earlier this evening, there were at least 6 public information sessions where we got input from the public. And that input was then turned into a plan that is now embedded, so people know, in the town, official plan for the town. It's part of the official plan. You can go online to our awful website and look up Midland Bay Landing official plan, and you'll find that the whole thing is laid out there. I think it's important to know that we've recruited 5 directors, as Councilor Conlon said. These people are tasked with making recommendations to council. Council will have the final say in terms of how we approach it based on those recommendations. These people have significant experience, more so than we had when we tried to do it the first time. The committee that did try to work through to get us to this point has done a fabulous job. This group will continue that work, and I think we'll see over time a mixed-use community that will complement the downtown and add to the assessment base of the town significantly.
Thank you very much. Next question, we will lead Bob Jeffrey. Please tell us what unique skills or competencies you would bring to council if you were elected, and what type of impact you might have in working with such a divergent group of individuals.
You know, it's funny, but somebody actually sent me a questionnaire about that. So I'll read you what I wrote. One of the questions, well, there was a whole bunch of them, but basically it comes down to there's no job description for the position of mayor. However, since I spent 33 years of my life working at the mental health center and upgrading my skills while in the employ of that particular place, I learned things like recreational leadership, which I was trained in, vocational counseling, and instruction. I've maintained a healthy marriage without any extramarital shenanigans for 41 years. I've raised 4 extremely successful children, and I have 5 grandchildren. I spent 31 years learning the council craft from 5 mayors who showed me how to get things done, and a couple who showed me how not to do things. I believe I've been a passionate student of the local political scene, and I'm now eager to pursue the fruits of learning. And can I work with people? Yeah. That's what I did for 33 years at the OH. I worked with people, and I continue to.
Thank you. I think one of the biggest skills I bring is I'm a collegial consensus builder. I've done it at the international level. I've done it at the provincial and federal levels, both with learning institutions as well as various ministries, both in Canada, the UK, and New Zealand, getting people to realize a common vision and act on it and to turn it into a reality. My role in my past life as in the company that we formed was basically business development, which is the flip side or the adverse side of economic development. So I'm used to working in that area and making sure that we, in fact, develop businesses, in fact, in 5 different countries, 6 countries now. I'm quite familiar with the methods of that. I understand finance. I understand that In order to move things forward, you need to build consensus with individuals and have a common vision. And as mayor, that's probably your first and foremost job, is to make sure that everybody understands the issues, that we have a common approach to how we're going to look at the issues, and then decide on a means of moving the arts forward. So those are skills that I bring to the table in spades. That's been my job for virtually most of my life.
Let's do this one, please. This is a mayor question only. Move it, Jack.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm proud to say that I've always had executive roles. I've worked with deputy ministers and ministers, provided advice. What is unique about what I've done at the town of Midland the last 4 years, I've chaired most of the departments. I understand that there are certain skills and leadership skills that we need to develop with our staff, with our department heads to motivate the staff to move forward. I've worked on organizational change. I have unique skills in negotiations. I worked for the Ministry of Aboriginal Affairs on land claims. I've done consultations with First Nations and the level of engagement, how to look at triggers to do consultation for informing or providing accommodation. I've done leadership development and team development with staff up to about 20 or 30 individuals in the department. Basically, I'm just a going guy machine. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ruth. In your view, how does the role of town staff differ from that of council?
Well, the role of town staff is certainly different from council because council sets policy, the town staff implements and runs the town itself. You cannot be micromanaging your staff at town. You have to know what your role is, and you have to work with town staff, and you know what their role is. The worst you can do is go in there and start telling them how to do their job, because believe me, they know how to do it a lot better than you do. But it is your job to set policy. It's their job to make sure the policy is enforced.
Thanks for the question. As far as I'm concerned, council only manages the CAO, period. If we have an issue, we go to the CAO. We meet with them on a bi-weekly basis. If we have an issue with the staff or we see concerns that we hear from our residents, we bring it to the CAO and he passes it down the line. That is how it should go. That's how every corporation handles their board of directors. The council is the board of directors for the town of Midland. Council is only responsible for that CAO. The CAO would implement everything else. So with that said, I believe that that's the process that the council should take. Only the CAO, no micromanage, no when you see somebody doing something on the street, that's not up for us to do. It's up to us to set the policy and have the CAO implement it, period.
Thank you. I'm looking at my watch here, and there's a bunch of questions. There's a couple of inflammatory questions, if you wish, which I think you already know the views of these folks on the MPUC sale, and OPP. So I'm going to call an audible. I've got one question left because we've got 5 minutes before we go to closing remarks. And I think this is a fair question to all of the candidates. And that is, and I'll start with you, Jack, and we'll just go down the line. What should the town do to help existing businesses grow while attracting new business?
Can you repeat that question, Roy? Sorry.
Yes. What should the town do to help existing businesses grow while attracting new ones?
That's really a hard question, because really, in order to look at what the existing businesses are today and what their needs are, and basically to attract new opportunities with entrepreneurs, into the community, we need to probably do an assessment and reaching out to our BIA, our chamber, to get a better understanding of what the needs are. And from the fact that we address this, we can put a plan together, and again, it's a consultation of what are those needs. We are looking at, in the future, the downtown revitalization, and I think that's a good start, but we need to look at looking at incentives to attract new businesses to town. And the municipality could provide that leadership. We can provide looking at opportunities for incentives. And I think from the fact that we need to identify what those entrepreneurs are going to be.
I haven't got a clue. You know, you've got a lot of businesses in town that today are probably struggling. You've got others that are just doing a great job. What do we do as a council? What do we do as people who live here? Do we shop there? Do we make sure that we bring people who visit us downtown to shop? It's a good question, but I'm kind of lost as to where we go. While trying to bring in new business, well, I got news for you. There's 42,000 different municipalities in North America that are all trying to do the same thing. So we better get a handle on something so that we can actually design ourselves to become a destination of choice. And I think we need to do that on a separate level to helping out our local businesses. The only way I think we can do it is start shopping locally.
I think that we need to continue to support the EDC&S and to continue to support the home business bylaw and its proper execution. Entrepreneurs, small to medium enterprise is the backbone of growth in a lot of municipalities. That we need to ensure that we get the downtown right so that it's a hospitable place where people come, actually stay, spend their dollars in the local economy. I think we need to promote the local and the BIA, Shop Midland. I think we need to hold the line on costs as much as we possibly can. I think we also need to ensure that we have the right workforce for the right businesses coming into town. EDC&S is working very hard on making sure that we have skilled trades available for the factories that are here. If we don't provide those skills trades, they're leaving. There's 200 high-paying jobs right now that aren't filled, and EDC&S, along with industry, is going out to make sure we get people here to do that. And I think finally we need to make sure we reduce the red tape, or red carpet, a little less red tape, so that industry can actually come here and prosper.
Thank you very much. I congratulate everyone who has a business downtown because I know how hard it is to be able to make a go of it these days for everyone. So I would support everybody and encourage everybody to support locally, to really look after the people in our downtown core because they need our support. And especially when it comes to the big dig, we're going to have a big problem with people being able to get access to all of the stores and everything. So we have to look at that. We have to see how we're going to accommodate them by relooking at the back alleyways that come into our stores where people can get access to visit everything. But also reducing the red tape at Town Hall when it comes to the building permits. I think there's a lot that can be done to help that. We need to revisit the development charges to see if there isn't something that we can accommodate people to be able to help them and want them to come to our area. And as I said earlier, encourage people to support locally and support our BIA.
Thank you. This comes back to one of the questions we were asked earlier, and I believe one of the key to supporting business and attracting is the support of our Economic Development Office of North Simcoe. New business attraction is bigger than the town of Midland. We need to work with Tiny, Tay, Penetang, and Midland. The fact of the matter is, when a business comes to Penetang, it helps Midland, because people may buy a house here, they pay their taxes, and the same for Penetang. A business comes to Penetang, they may buy a house in Midland, or vice versa. So I think it's very, very important to keep that economic development, the driver going. I have to thank our Mayor McKay, seeing him standing in the back of the room. He was the one that implemented this project 8 years ago, and it's been a great, great success for the town of Midland and the surrounding area. And with that said, we need to support our local trade and shop local.
Thank you very much. That was our last question. How about a big hand for all the candidates?
So now we come to the fun part, the closing remarks. And Mike, I'm not sure if I gave you a heads up, but you're gonna leave. So we have 3 minutes. It'll take us 5 minutes over. I do apologize, but I think you've heard some great insights and comments from our future leaders. So thank you very much, Mike.
Once again, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I know it's hard to get away on a Monday night, but I want to close in saying in 1965, the year before I was born, I and my family won the jackpot. My father was offered a job to move to Midland to work for Les Kaler to sell insurance. And our family moved from Toronto to Midland. And that truly is the greatest gift that I've ever received. Coming to this town. Once a month I have to get in a car and drive to Mississauga to go to my head office. And I thank God when I get back on that highway that I live in this town. And we all should be thanking our lucky stars. Every resident in Midland has won the jackpot to live in this town. And it truly has been my greatest pleasure to represent you as your deputy mayor, and I would love to continue for the next 4 years as your deputy mayor. I believe if you listen to my answers, I'm very informed, very knowledgeable, I work hard, I'm a great leader, and I will support the town of Midland and the residents wholeheartedly. So I encourage you to please vote for Mike Ross on October 22nd as your deputy mayor.
I'd like to say a special thank you to all of you for organizing this evening's event. It's just wonderful to see so many people and what a great attendance we have. The people you elect to council become stewards of your municipality. Their job is to make sure the town of Midland is managed to the best of their ability and to leave it in the best condition possible when their term of town council is completed. I believe, as I told you before, in respectful communications, open meetings and transparency, and public participation. I have 10 years municipal experience, both as a councillor and deputy mayor, having served both at the local and county levels of government. I've had the privilege of being a member of several boards and committees for the town of Midland, including the Library Board, the PUC, the Museum Board, the Midland BIA, the Chamber of Commerce, just to name a few. I have 15 years experience in the construction industry in sewer, water, roads, as well as building. Prior to my retirement, I worked for a law firm for 20 years as their office manager and accounting administrator. I believe my counsel and work experience to be a positive asset for the position of deputy mayor. I urge you to vote for someone that will look at all the issues and be responsible to you, the public, for their decisions. I ask for your support by electing me, Ruth Hackney, as your deputy mayor on October the 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you for holding the evening tonight. I'm glad to see so many people out to participate in the process. I'd like to say as a councillor, I'm proud of what we've accomplished over the past 4 years. We've got taxes and service costs under control, begun to attract new housing and businesses to Midland. Now we're in a financially sound position. We'll shift our focus to the things that will make Midland once again a prosperous and great place to live in security and health. I want to thank the many residents of Midland who have offered their support, and in particular to those who have publicly endorsed me, including Mayor Gordon McKay. As mayor, I'll provide strong, progressive leadership continue the momentum built over the past 4 years, and take action to promote growth and opportunity in our town. I'll guide the town to invest in essential infrastructure and community development. I'll ensure the Midland Bay Landing development moves ahead and guarantees complete waterfront access to the public. I'll ensure we build more affordable housing for seniors, low-income families, and others in need. I'll make sure Town Hall is responsive to residents' needs by implementing a comprehensive public engagement strategy. I'll implement community safety plan incorporating policing, social, and housing supports. I'll champion needed local hospital and healthcare services. I'll support the library's lifelong learning mandate and its new maker place. I'll do all this while keeping taxes at or below the rate of inflation. And you can take that to the bank. I'm running for mayor. My approach is simple and principled. I care. I grew up here. My family's been here since 1875. I do listen. I get the facts, and then I lead. I believe every citizen should have a role in building our community's future. I'll reach out to residents across Midland. I'll listen to young families as well as seniors to make sure we do the right things to make Midland a complete community. I'll hear what you say and provide strong, caring leadership to build consensus on Midland's priorities and vision for the future. I have the skills, the experience, and the commitment to lead a new council, to make the right decisions that will create opportunities and growth necessary for an inclusive, complete community. But I'll never forget my Midland roots. If you share my vision for a strong, prosperous Midland, vote Stuart Strathern for mayor in this important election. Thank you.
Just not enough room back there. Well, y'all know who I am. Night's getting long, so I won't go on. Leadership. Much has been printed about the attribute, and almost all the sitting council members claim to possess it. Proven leadership, strong leadership, effective leadership, progressive leadership are but a few of the terms bandied around to convince the ratepayers of Midland that they are deserving of your precious vote. Leadership is a term that can totally depend on the others of the group to acquiesce to the views of one who is seen or acknowledged as a leader. It can also depend, as facilitated through the leader, like individual, on the cooperation of the group to bring about a desired outcome for the good of all. My experience has taught me that the latter is a true sign of a leader, and indeed leadership. I've had the pleasure of leading through committees as chair to work with innumerable personalities to attain shared outcomes for the benefit of all. The role of leader is not to garner praise for him or herself. I've never tried that. But share the credit with all who took part in the solution or final outcome. There are numerous examples of team effort throughout the municipality, which indeed have stood the test of time and are now an everyday occurrence in the citizens' lives. All I can do is stand up here and promise you that I will work diligently, honestly, with integrity, to address and find solutions for everything that will satisfy your appetite for stability through a truly open and transparent administration. You got to remember one thing: Midland matters. You're a Midland. You matter. Thanks.
I've talked about communication and economic development. Now I'll touch on the environment and my vision. Georgian Bay is valuable to our economy, our cultural heritage, and our quality of life. We need a clean environment. I have worked with several organizations to improve the health of Georgian Bay since the late 90s. At Environment Canada, I worked to delist Severed Sound. I was a founding board member of the Georgian Bay Biosphere Reserve and worked for 15 years at Parks Canada. It's important to have leaders at the municipal level that understand the implications of issues like climate change and value the protection of our fragile ecosystem and fresh water. For example, we need to take action with storm water mixing with sewage and polluting Midland Bay. We are measuring ground contamination for remedial actions at various sites around our community. This is to prepare for future projects such as affordable housing sites and attracting new business enterprises that can prosper. We need to make sure that we have excellent infrastructure, up-to-date services, and planning policies that are not only responsible, but developer and tourist friendly. My work with Environment Canada and Parks Canada has prepared me to give thoughtful attention to these issues that impact some of the most important future projects. Earlier tonight, I said we all want the best for our community, and the only difference is how we get there. Here is my plan to move Midland forward. We have many studies, surveys, and plans that deal with all these matters. I have proposed that we consolidate them into a master business plan so that we can prepare for our financial future in a sustainable manner. As mayor, I would pledge to work on community safety, affordable housing, supporting healthcare, revisiting services such as leaf and brush pickup at the county, and relationship building with our neighbors and other levels of government. Of course, we can't forget about the money. We need to hold the line on taxes. I firmly pledge to listen to all, and your voice will be heard and respected. I also respect inclusion and consensus building. We will justify how we spend your tax dollars. I will bring a fresh approach to the role of Mayor of Midland with strong, experienced leadership, demonstrating credibility, accountability, and dedication. On October 22nd, please vote Jack Compton for mayor. And thanks to the volunteers for hosting this event.
So that concludes the evening. I've got just some summary comments about the election itself. Again, thanks to the audience, thanks to the candidates for hanging in there. It's a bit of a marathon of sorts, but I think our collective investment of time, effort, and reflection will yield a better result for both you and the people, the collective in Midland. Please remember, advance polls are here at the Rec Center on October 10, 11, and 13. And election day is October 22nd, with voting from 10 till 8 p.m. We hope everyone felt this evening was fruitful and added some value to your life. So thank you very much and safe travels. Thank you.